Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Adele Newton. I'm Executive Director of CSCAN InfoCan, and I'm really pleased to present this webinar on the NSERC Alliance program. And I want to thank Sylvain Langlois and Jean-Marc David from the NSERC Partnerships Program. Sylvain is going to take the lead in the presentation today. He's going to speak for about half an hour, and then we will have questions and answers. If you have questions during the presentation, please put them in the Q&A section, and I will lead a Q&A after the presentation ends. So Sylvain, without further ado, I'm going to mute myself, turn off my video, and put it over to you.
So good afternoon, officially now that it's 12:02. Thank you for joining us today. It's great to have you on board, see the interest there. So basically today the topic is Alliance. I've selected to talk about some key points and also some aspects that have led to issues in proposals. This is a subset of a longer proposal that's offered to universities, and that's posted on our website. Selected from that things I think would be the most relevant for today. So we're going to be looking at Alliance 1 program to options, closer look at option 1, and then option 2, and then talk about some best practices. And with mingle into that there's review criteria, there's tips on applying and stuff like that. So, but these are the key sections that I want to cover. So Alliance program. So there's no multiple programs. It is one program. There's just different options into it. And as you can see here, whether you're option 1 or option 2, the core is all the same objectives, same criteria. The peer review is fairly similar, except for one small detail for option 2. Partners, same rules and regulations. And also it's a cost sharing program on both sides. If we look at the differences, then we see that like eligibility rules, this is all the same, up to cost sharing ratio, where option 2, you can go up to 100% of funds from NSERC. And then when we go to option 2, there's specific requirements that must be met to be able to go on that streams. For example, the project must address an unmet societal needs, but we'll come into more details onto these differences as we go along in the proposal. So let's dive into option 1. So option 1, projects from 1 to 5 years are allowed, and ranging from 20,000 to 1 million per year. And these are not averages. These are, so basically you cannot apply if you're asking less than 20K per year. And that's one of the issues we've seen, just some years over below 20K, and that's not acceptable. And again, even if the average is 1 million, you cannot have more than 1 million in any given year. Partner organization, essential. This is a partnership project, so each project must have at least one partner that is recognized for cost sharing. And that means that the criteria on our website are met based on number of employees, presence in Canada, sectors and stuff like that, so that you need at least one of those that is recognized for cost sharing. But every other partner that's involved in the project must still contribute to its success. Normally, it's demonstrated through some in-kind and some cash participation potentially, but they must have a role in the project, not just be there. And at least one must have the ability to exploit the research results. Others might be there to help guide the research, make some contributions, but there must be at least one that can actually exploit it and achieve the desired outcome from the project. In terms of a cost sharing ratio for option 1, we have 2 levels, 50% and 66.7%. 50% is for large organization coming alone. So if you have a large company, more than 500 employees, they're coming alone, it's a 1-to-1 match. So you can request from NSERC the same amount that the company is providing. For smaller companies with fewer than 500 coming alone, 66.7, so 2-to-1 matching ratio. And then the in-between is if there's multiple sectors being defined as private, public, and not-for-profit. So if you have two large organizations from two different sectors, one public, one private, then it can move to the 66.7. And the only thing there, of course, is the partner that's coming on board to make this possible has to be a significant partner in the project, not a token partner just added on to get that more beneficial ratio. So it has to be a real partner that has a real role into this. And in the end, what determines the maximum cash that can be requested from NSERC is the sum of all cash that's recognized for cost sharing. So if you have let's say a partner that's not recognized, you have your NSERC, you have your total budget, you subtract that amount from that, and it's that amount that's not recognized for cost sharing, and then it's the remaining that's divided between NSERC and the partners that are recognized for cost sharing. In terms of evaluation process, it depends on, it's a risk-based process depending on the level of funds that are requested, and that's what determines the risk, not the scientific risk of the project, but their financial risk, so financial level, basically. So small proposals asking between 20 and 30K per year are reviewed internally, provided that the applicants and the co-applicants have successfully been peer-reviewed by NSERC before. If they have not, if either the co-applicant or one of the co-applicants has not, then it's going to go to external reviews. Moving on to the level of the medium, 30K to 300K, it's done by external reviews that are done in isolation. So the number of reviews depends on the size of the grant. Then we proceed at NSERC, and then for the large proposals, 300K to up to 1 million, these are reviewed by an ad hoc committee. So it's not a site visit; it's a committee that meets online and that reviews the proposal without involvement from the applicant. So there's no back and forth. So the committee has to discuss the proposal as it is written. They cannot be asking additional information from the proposal. So the concept of site visit with that back and forth that we had in the past does not exist anymore. Alliance is a program, so we're not advantaging one or the other by doing this, this process. And the evaluation has this 4 evaluation criteria that are equally weighted: relevance and outcomes, partnerships, quality of the proposal, and training. And under each of those, there's sub-criteria. Some of them have 3 and training has 2. And so for a total of 11 sub-criteria, which all have to be met satisfactorily, grant to be approved. If there's a failure in any of those sub-criteria, then the proposal is rejected. And what drives the scores after there's been a review either by a committee or by peer review or even internally is the merit indicators. So we have a series of merit indicators which are posted on our website that you can consult and see what we're looking for. So it scores 1 to 4 given to each under each of these 11 sub-criteria based on the descriptors that we have there. So we take the content of either the external review reports, or we take the content of the comments made by the ad hoc committee and assign scores to that. And then the proposal gets ranked internally to determine funding. So that's it for what I wanted to say about option 1. Now we're going to go into option 2. Option 2 has 3 specific things that we look at: societal impact, making connections, and broad outcome. That distinguishes from option 1. So the first characteristic is social impact. These grants are supposed to meet to meet an unmet societal need in areas that there may be barriers that prevent it from being filled. So for this social impact, we expect that the benefit of the project goes beyond the partner organization project, and also beyond the near-term potential economic benefit that the project could offer. Second characteristic is making connections. And again, here we expect that the product makes it go beyond the immediate, typical partners, but to include also some key societal groups or association end users, implementers that can make a real difference. So it's driven, the project has to be driven by a real need to overcome a societal issue. And all partners, even though there's no cash commitment or very limited cash commitment, have to be strongly committed and act in the proposal. And the third characteristic is broad outcomes. So basically, we want the targeted groups that this need is addressing to be kept informed of progress and results. And also we ask that the team has a strategy to awareness regarding going to come out of that with products, services, policies. So raise awareness of that. And also, there should also be short-term, medium-term, and long-term benefits that will have measurable impact on society. And we expect that intellectual property will not be a barrier to the use of the results. So it's broad implementation that we're looking for these projects. So option 2 and option 1 in terms is the funding. The minimum is 30K instead of 20K per year, every single year. Again, there must be at least one partner that is recognized for cost sharing, even though they may, like, so if it's, let's say, it's a public or not for profit, even though they're not contributing any cash, they're contributing only in kind, they need recognized if they were providing cash. One important thing to go online the proposal, you need to select the proper category. There's been a few cases where researchers have assumed that, well, they're not contributing cash, I'm going to choose partners not for cash. Well, when you get to the end, it won't work. Have properly tagged as for cost sharing. So yeah, that's what I said here. And then you need to include all the organizations that are representing the end users or the interested group as well in the proposal. So when you apply, this one has limit in number of applications that can be made. For applicants and co-applicants, it's 1 per year in either of these roles as a maximum, and as a partner organization, it's a maximum of 2 per year. Here's the time that it's been submitted. In terms of the component of the proposal, there's one difference. There's an additional 3 pages for what we call public impact value proposition, or PIVP. So this piece will be reviewed by a committee, like I'll mention later, but will not go to the external peer review. So in the evaluation there, the first step, there's a committee of 15 members, that broad knowledge and multidisciplinary committee that will act as a filter. They look at the PIVP and determine whether it fits option or not. If it doesn't, then the proposal is rejected as an option 1 if you so choose. If it meets 2, as determined by the committee, it will be the standard review process, which is sent to external reviewers. For example, if depending on or based on the site, will be sent to external reviewers, will process, provide reports, and will follow the standard process as option 1. So like I mentioned before, if it's rejected at the level of the committee, you must need to submit under option 1. Then there's the period without the PIVP sections. So that means that the proposal itself must be complete. So whatever's in the PIVP, if there's elements there that are addressing indicators, then it needs to be in the proposal as well. In terms of a funding decision, again, it will be the same thing. We're going to do the merit indicators just as in option 1. And if all criteria are met, then it can be funded based on where it ranks in the list. So option two is not. There's a little bit of a learning curve when we introduce this this option two. What is it? What it's not? We've given some guidance, but not complete guidance. We don't want to box the option two so specific that we only get one type of proposal. We want to leave it fairly open, and then the committee can refine it as we go. So what it's not a replacement for strategic or engage. Definitely not. Engage was really partner specific. It's not a one researcher centered project, and it's also not just about the money to reduce the financial cost of partners, is because really there's maybe this project could not other ways than if NSERC puts more money into it. And it's not just about developing a product or service for commercialization. What it is, like I mentioned before, an important unmet societal need. Social impact is expected, and there's barriers preventing it from happening right now. So it's pushing the group beyond the comfort zone, and there's a justification for why NSERC should be providing more fund into that. So that completes my option two. Now, general best practices for submission and potential success. So main reasons for not accepting application that we've seen in the past, and some of these have been corrected over time. Like, for example, the template. Initially, a number of people deleted all the bullet points, changed the template completely. We don't accept that. Out of everyone, you're not getting space. Everybody has the same. They have to have the bullets showed in there. You can change the slightly the formatting, like there's the spacing on the bullets is a little bit wide. You can change that if you want, but the bullets have to stay there to say what's being addressed in the text below. Key pages, also not respecting the pages has been an issue, or not addressing every bullets under each. And as I mentioned before, if any of the criteria 1.2, 2.1 is not satisfactory, there's no grant awarded. So if it's not addressed in the proposal, then by it doesn't get graded and the proposal is rejected. EDI is one big one that still continues better, but there's still a few rejects here and there. And so basically, as I mentioned later, we need concrete examples. So with EDI, we've had a number which were too vague, gets rejected, or incorrect cost sharing ratio selected based on the partners that are there. Some proposals requesting maybe on average 20K per year, but less than 20K in a single year, and that's not acceptable. Also, some issues initially with the format of the Form 100 as opposed to the Form 100A, and presenting their CV information kind from the organization. So organizations are not involved. So these are the key things that we've seen. In terms of option two specifically, misunderstanding about the characteristics. So to me, it's like strategic, or it's like, hey, let's give option two a chance, a try. Let's see what happens, and then let's go to option one. Really, it's not the intent. They're quite different. So if it need, waste your time on that. And or the PIVP not being convincing enough, insufficient consultation with stakeholders, stuff like that. And so, and I mean by wrong approach to building the project is basically not starting with the unmet need and the end user, the discussion, consult with the end user to build the project. So making more, including it more of as an afterthought, and that doesn't work. And I guess the societal impact needs to be reflected in the activities and the deliverables. In terms of a proposal template, yeah, making sure that the font is the font size is not shrunk too much. It keeps meeting the regulation, and you can download the template from the website. And basically here we have the guidelines, or the rules and guidelines for page number. The number of pages at the bottom here, you can't go beyond that. whereas the number within the different sections are more suggestions. So if you need a little bit more in background and outcomes and less in partnerships, that's fine. We can accommodate that, but in the end, not more than 25. And since Christmas, after 20 or sometime in November, we changed the page limit that as soon as you're over 300K, you have 25 pages instead of 15, because we got a lot of comments on that it was not enough space to describe the project. So we've made that. And here the star for up to 30K if it's a small, but the researchers, one of the researchers has not been peer reviewed by NSERC before, then they can go up to 10 pages because it's going to be peer reviewed. So you need a little bit more meat in there as opposed to the ones that are reviewed internally at NSERC. Large multi-party projects, there's also 3 potential extra pages under the team to provide details on project management. So now EDI, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. So what you need is concrete practices that you will do in the project to increase EDI in the training, the contribution to the training. And I guess maybe one of my advice, even if you already have recruited the students for this project, tell us how you will recruit the next one. Let's say, should one of these students leave? That's good. Perhaps you have already a diversified mix of students in place, but how will you go about recruiting one if, so it's recruiting practices, it's how you team people feel included in the group and stuff like that. So we need a few of these practices outlined, not just general statements, oh, we will follow the EDI university, or talking about the past. So for the last 20 years, that a group that's been diversified in such. That's good, but that's not what's going to give you the pass grade on that. We need specific things. And on the website, we do have a document that talks about give some examples and provide guidance on that. So that's it on there. And yeah, there's the link to the EDI guide that can help you. And we also have an application checklist that we've created for option 1 and option 2, just to go over all the points that we've seen issues in the past. So feel free to download that and be guided. I see a question here, which I'm answer live about, do bullets count in the page count? Yes. So that's why, out of fairness, everybody the same land title, background, and the bullet must be. The thing you can do, like I said, is you can change between these bullets because it's quite wide in the original template, but they have to stay there for everyone. I guess I need to come back here. So I guess that concludes my my presentation here, and I'll be happy to take questions or discuss some topics of interest. Thank you.
Thanks, Sylvain. That's really helpful. There was one other question in here in the Q&A. Are the engineering solutions for health-related problems eligible for Alliance?
Have from funding projects that are related to health, what's being done, so if it's you're developing AI algorithms to detect patterns and screen for, you're designing a new machine to detect computer science would be more in algorithms-based things, and yes, so it's fine. We can fund that, provided that the core. So basically, you're thinking about it as like who's going to be reviewing this kind of work? Is it other computer scientists that have experience in health, or is it more on the health side? So where does the challenge lie? But apart from that, where we can fund.
So is your answer that if it's more computer scientists that would review the proposal, then it would be eligible rather than health experts?
Yeah, I guess it maybe the one way is just where does the challenge lie? So so basically, if where are the innovations going to be? Are there going to be so natural sciences and engineering project, or purely the application of existing knowledge for health?
Okay, thank you.
Where
Someone
then
asked,
it's more on the health side.
right, thanks. Someone asked if there is a specific link. I do believe in your presentation you do have a specific link. You did provide specific links. If you go back, I believe it was
Yes.
on the EDI piece, so thank you for that. Are there application deadlines? Is this a competition?
I guess no. There's no deadline for application. We take them as they come. The option 2 are reviewed by a committee once in a while, but again, it's not. You don't have to worry about that. Submit your application whether you make it to the next meeting or not. It's not. It's not critical. They have their meetings frequently. So no, and the proposal can come.
So the proposals are evaluated on their own merit, not in comparison to other, not in competition with other proposals?
They are the way it says it meets. And all the proposals that have been completed their peer review and have been assigned based on certain indicators are submitted to that review, and the proposal are ranked list based on the score. So based on being available and budget projection, then we do fund that list. I guess so far we have funded quite a bit. But I guess as the level of proposal goes up eventually, then maybe the line will fluctuate a little bit, but that line of funding depends on that are in budget and the quality.
Okay.
And then the only ones that are excluded that don't go to that with one criteria. So one criteria that's not met. So if it's let's say there's no strategy for the use of the results 1.3, it's does not satisfy, then it doesn't even make it to that committee.
Okay, thank you. Is there a LaTeX template for these proposals?
No, that would be you can convert it. You can do it in LaTeX if you want, but we just have the Word template provided.
Thank you. I'm going through the questions here. So here's another one. Thank you for the presentation. For option number 2, limit on number of applications 2 within a 12-month period. Does that mean no matter how big or national an organization is, it can only participate in up to 2 applications in a 12-month period? So if you had a large company that wanted to participate in more.
No matter what the size. Mm-hmm.
So only with 2 in a 12-month period for any organization.
Yeah, then they have to. Yeah, then they have to do option 1.
Okay, and is there any easy way for
then
NSERC?
they have to do option 1. So basically, the option 2 is really something.
Okay, and is there an easy way for NSERC?
So go ahead.
Is there an easy way for NSERC to check whether an organization has already used up their quota?
Actually, that's a good question. I haven't really looked at this one up yet, but presumably we could do that because I'm not on the option 2 team, so I'm not sure exactly how they handle it, but I can follow up on that.
If you could follow up and let me know, I'll answer.
But presumably, yes, we can tell you if you yeah, I guess, I mean, you could ask send an email to the Alliance NSERC box and request about the specific organization, but I'll ask the team and let you know, Adele.
Thank you. Can some of the research team members, not the partners, be experts from industry and help with conducting the research, or does everyone on the research team need to be from academia?
I guess this one is kind of a two-part thing. We do very often see researchers from industry in the project, but not receiving from the project. So they are contributing their own time. Often is researchers from the partner organization that are contributing their time. If it's someone, yeah, because really to have access to the funds, you need to have an adjunct status, at least.
Okay.
So the only ones that are that can act as a co-applicant are because you have an adjunct status and their organization is not part of the project. So if you're AAFC, you have an adjunct status, but AAFC is not part of the project.
Okay, so they have to have an adjunct position in order to be considered part of the research team.
Part of the co-applicant, I guess there's two things. Research team, for us, like let's say, for example, you're partnering with company XYZ and two of their researchers or engineers are participating and contributing. We consider them part of the team, the same way that the students are part of the team. Everybody is part of the team. But when you think, what I was talking about is to be a co-applicant, for example. That would be a different story. If you're as a collaborator, you can be from anywhere. You can be international, you can be from industry, doesn't matter.
Okay, so a collaborator versus a co-applicant on the application. Great.
No, actually, there's three different categories: applicant, co-applicant, access to funds, and then collaborators bring their own funds.
Okay. Is there any threshold for cash versus in-kind contribution from the partner organization?
No, there isn't. Actually, the NSERC grant is based on the cash only, based on the numbers. The numbers based on the cash only. The back to the event, so that there's some in kind. The value has to match. We expect the value to match what the benefits are expected from the company. So basically, our in kind globally that would be expected. And we also expect the partners to be actively involved. So there should be some in kind to demonstrate that they are actually actively involved. But there's no formula.
Can PIs be shareholders in the supporting companies?
Sorry, this one I did not hear it. It cut off a bit.
Oh, so can PIs be shareholders in the supporting companies?
Actually, most likely not. I guess it depends on the level. Typically not. If it's, let's say, their own startup company or they're a co-founder and stuff like that. The amount is typically 30%. That we look at for what we could accept versus what we say completely no. So if globally the research team, co-applicants, applicants, their relative, everyone in the party has less than 30%, then we can probably consider it fine. But that is a case-by-case basis, and we need to look at all the details. Do they have a role in the company, board of directors? So it factors, or is their wife on the board of directors, their husband? We need to consider the whole package. So this one is, you need to contact NSERC before you proceed with that.
So you would evaluate on a case-by-case basis on this one.
Yeah, I mean, we have the general guidelines on our website, and the thing that are clear, no. So there's no role. If you have a role in the company, paid or unpaid, on staff, then yes, no, definitely no. So the rules are there. It's in the case that are beyond that please rule, but there's to get the go ahead from NSERC first. To avoid, writing a proposal and wasting your time on that and be told that it's no because the conflict of interest guideline is not met.
You stated that an EDI plan must say more than "we will follow university practices." Can we describe and take advantage of specific departmental or institutional EDI efforts?
I guess you can, it really comes down to what I want to see, like when I'm looking at this to attribute it a score and see whether it matches or not, it's the specific things that you do in your lab and how you are doing the recruiting specifically. Are you using gender neutral language? Are you advertising in non-traditional venues, and which one will you advertise in specifically? What will you do specifically to accommodate maybe students that have young children, for example? How would you, we want to see these very specific actions that you will take in your project. So the statement, you can state, yeah, you're going to follow all whatever your department is, but which one of the specific things that your university recommends are you going to implement in this project?
So you have to be specific. You can't just say, we'll follow the guidelines. Yeah.
No, that's reject automatically. So not general, it has to be specific.
Okay, thank you. Can these grants be combined with MyTax?
Actually, soon, yes. I guess we will have a program that will allow you to do a joint application of NSERC and MyTax within the alliance. So at this point, not quite, but it's coming.
It's coming. Okay. At this point, now that a number of projects of various types have been reviewed and funded, are you able to give a sense of the typical acceptance rates for option 1 and option 2, or at different levels of cost sharing?
Yeah, I don't have these numbers, but I can look for that if that's of interest. I know there's been a lot of, I mean, option 2 is fairly young, and the numbers that I've looked at, there's a lot of rejection. The rejection rate has been quite high in the beginning. The same thing, you could say that when option 1 was launched, there was also a number of rejections because of administrative issues. So option 2 has suffered from that, and I guess the numbers are pretty small still to be released on comparison to be meaningful. I think maybe like a year from now, it would be more appropriate.
Thank you. What's the current round trip time from submission until you get the results back?
I guess that depends on the level of funds. If it's an internal review, this is the fastest, of course, because there's no volunteers involved, so that's within weeks. If it's going to external reviewers, about 3 months plus minus, 3 months ish. We've had longer delays during COVID, and especially initially that people were not necessarily willing to review, and they had other overburdened with a number of things. Recently, things have picked up again, and I had a number of proposals under review, and they seem to all the latest ones that I sent at the end of the year all came back with reviews. So they caught up on the ones that I've gotten like a month and a half prior to those proposals. So things are looking good on that front to be able to meet more of our 3 months timeline. But combining the viewer availability and the substantial workload that we have currently, it may sometimes it can take a little bit longer to get an answer.
3 months,
months is about the.
Yeah. Does the collaboration with the partner organization have to be?
Minus, yeah.
Does the collaboration with the partner organization have to be with teams based in Canada, or is it fine to collaborate with teams outside of Canada as long as the partner organization has some R&D operations in Canada?
Actually, if the partner meets the requirement for cost sharing in Canada, and they do have R&D, they employ people here, like not just a part-time R&D person that's called the R&D branch. We're talking about something real. Yes, then can collaborate with another group that has the more relevant expertise to the topic of the project, so that in-kind collaboration can come from elsewhere.
Great.
But the company has to meet the criteria to start with.
Thank you. Graduate student recruiting is usually done at the university level, not by individual researchers. How can we describe our own EDI recruiting efforts in this case? We are typically starting our graduate student admission process from a pool that we are given. In this case, it seems we could only describe the university's efforts to promote EDI in recruiting. It's not really, there's a question mark at the end, so.
Yeah, but so this one here, the EDI in training, it's more than recruiting. Recruiting is the most obvious one to start. So then in that case, you can say, well, it's done at the university and this is how it's done. But then what are you going to do in terms of inclusivity in your group when they come and work in your lab? So how is your lab making an environment that's safe for different people from different backgrounds or different situations? How is that gonna happen? And are you gonna encourage your students to take EDI training? So these are specific things that you can add on top of describing the generic recruitment. Recruitment is out of your hands in a bit, but mention it, that it's there, but add more stuff to it.
In fact, we have just, CSCAN InfoCan has just put together an EDI task force. We met yesterday for the first time, and one of the things we'd like to do is to work closely with NSERC to help clarify some of these EDI questions, because it is something that is challenging for researchers, as you can see. So hopefully we will have another webinar in the next little while that focuses strictly on this EDI efforts with some guidance from NSERC. That ends the questions that I have. I'll ask the attendees either to raise their hand or to add any more questions that they may have at this stage. It's just about 1:45. We can end. I will let everyone know there were a couple of questions about the links in the presentation. Sylvain will share his presentation with us, and we will upload that to our website along with the recording of this webinar, and I will send out the link to everyone who attended and to all members, so that people who weren't able to attend will also have access. So we will have the recording as well as Sylvain's slides. I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to thank Sylvain and Jean-Marc for your time today and for this information. I will look forward to getting some additional points of clarification from you. And I really want to thank you for being so forthcoming in the webinar today. Thanks very much, gentlemen.